Okay, this video is about piecewise functions. And piecewise functions are just functions that are broken into two or more pieces. Looks complicated, looks fancy. Start writing these sorts of equations, people think you're really smart, but they're really actually pretty easy. So let's start with an example. So we have this. What is that? Well, this is telling us that f of x is equal to x, but we have to restrict the domain to x is less than 2. So when x is less than 2, f of x equals x. So we can go ahead and graph that right there. But wait a minute, that's not just x is less than 2. We have to take out that part, so we just have the stuff that's less than 2. And then the next part says f of x is 0.5x plus 1 when x is greater than or equal to 2. So we use that function, but restrict the domain to x greater or equal to 2. And so there's the whole thing right there, but we only want to use the part that is greater than or equal to 2. So we take out that part, and we got it. And that's what the graph looks like. And if you wanted to use a table, you could to plug in numbers. Hopefully you know how to go from a table to a graph or a graph to a table, no problem. So the next one, we have x plus 5 squared minus 2 when x is less than 3, and x plus 1 squared minus 2 when x is greater than or equal to negative 3. So there is our x plus 5 squared minus 2, but we only want the part when x is less than or negative 3, so we take out the part we don't want. This part is x plus 1 squared minus 2. Wait a minute, that's not right. It needs to be shifted down. And then also we only want to use the part greater than or equal to negative 3. There we go. We shifted it down and just used the part greater than or equal to negative 3. And we got a nice W there. So we can start to make little designs by restricting the domain. Notice it's still a function. It still passes the vertical line test. Now, the next one is a little bit more complicated. We have 3 parts to it. We have negative 2x minus 8 when x is less than negative 6. F of x is x plus 6 when x is between negative 6 and 0. And then f of x is equal to negative 4 when x is greater than or equal to 0. So here, let's see what happens. So we have our first part there. I already took out the part we don't want, so we're just using f of x equals negative 2x minus 8 when x is less than negative 6. There's the middle part. And there's the other part. So now these are completely separated. This is not a continuous function. So let's look at x equals negative 6. What's going on there? Do we use the top part or the bottom part? Well, we look back and we see for the top part it's x is less than negative 6. So we need to have an open circle there. And then for the middle part it's x plus 6 when negative 6 is less than or equal to x. So we need a closed circle there. And we can look at x is less than 0 for that middle part, so an open circle there. And then x is greater than or equal to 0, so a closed circle there. And that's it. Pretty easy.